I just wanted to express my heartfelt thanks to Karine, Arifa, and the sponsors and the Rijksmuseum for having us all here, giving us this chance to be together and to think together. You are all tremendously brilliant. And this morning, I think in the midst of what is a somewhat fearful world, I hope that that brilliance can come through and help us to think a little bit differently. Okay. So, getting started, I think one of the things that Curry has always done well over 25 years is creating a really remarkable experience at Communicating the Arts. And it's not just about brilliant people, but it's also what we do together and how we think. So I had the remarkable occasion to be in Sydney in one of the first years there. And how often do you get to hold a baby kangaroo? And he was very snuggly, but he looked like he had something to say. Maybe he knows more about technology. Um, so I was thinking, what is it going to be here in the Netherlands? What large cuddly animals are there that are natives of the Netherlands? And I didn't really know, but I remembered this guy who's in the Gallery of Honor, and you never know what will happen. The final reception. So the arena and my host sat very high. Uh, and it's, I think because I'm the AI top, I get privileged to use cheesy AI generated images. But seriously, I was looking through the program and I thought it was really unique that on the website we had a list of all of the attendees. And I started reading through all of your titles, and you're all very impressive. We have executive directors and CEOs and founders and managing partners. And it's really clear to me that this is a room full of leaders and full of people who have been very successful in leadership throughout their career. Um, but it's not too obvious to say that you're leading in the midst of a world that is very volatile on many different fronts. I don't think we need to unpack too much of that. And, you know, AI in some ways feels like the smallest of those volatile things. So I just want to recognize that for a moment and hold a little space for all of the things that are troubling the world today. One of my key takeaways with this, be it grounded in AI, is that your leadership matters. And it matters for your institution. It matters for your colleagues who you see every day. And I think it matters for our world. And that's where impact really comes in to this picture. So, turning back to AI, the title of this talk is Leadership from the Jagged Frontier. And who had maybe heard of the Jagged Frontiers before? Let's see. Okay, good. So this is new for you. Well, newsflash, AI is weird. Sure. And not only is it changing like every morning, but one of my favorite authors on the subject is a person named Ethan Malik. And he's had this to say about AI. Said that no one actually knows the full range of capabilities of the most advanced large language models. No one really knows the best ways to use them or the conditions under which they fail. There is no instruction manual. On some tasks, AI is immensely powerful, and on others, it fails completely or subtly. And unless you use AI a lot, you won't know which is which. So this is an article that he wrote all the way back in 2023, which is an eon ago in AI language, but it was called Centaurs and Cyborgs on the Jagged Frontier. And what he means by that is that sometimes AI is brilliant, and on the other hand, it can't count. So that jagged frontier is what we're all living on, and we're going to be living on that jagged frontier for quite some time. That level of uncertainty and volatility is just part of a new world order. So, not to deal with too much uncertainty, we're going to give you exactly 3 takeaways from today's talk this morning. The first, you've navigated change like this before. It may feel new, but you've already done it. 2, each of you in the room, are already ideally equipped to make an impact in your institutions with AI. And three, it's on you, the leaders in this room, to envision what the future may hold, but make plans for today and get started. So we're going to unpack those three things, and I hope you will leave by the end of my talk in just 15 minutes with those three. And the first point I really want to land on is that many of us in the room would think of ourselves as knowledge-based institutions, where we deal with knowledge, and art is made meaningful by knowledge in many circumstances. But that relationship to knowledge, and we have a relationship, much like a friendship or a conversation, has always been mediated by technology. And to unpack that a little bit, we're going to go through just a brief history of the world in pre-songs. From the very advent of the printing press, technology was changing our access to information. And this printing press and mass distribution that came around democratized the way you could access knowledge. And for the first time, knowledge could be spread and disseminated across the world. But we needed to learn a skill. We needed to learn how to read in order to access that knowledge. In the age of computation, we no longer needed rooms full of human computers, but instead the speed of computation really transformed what we could do with data and information, and those calculations became very, very fast. We all know and are evidence of what computation has done in our world. In the information age, which many of us lived through, all of a sudden that information was not in a book in a library somewhere, but it was at the tips of our fingers. But we needed to learn how to search effectively. And in consequence, our memories maybe got a little worse because we always knew we can find it right on the internet. And that skill was both how to search, but how to deal with information overload. Many of you who lived through those 1990s can kind of remember your mind be blown by being able to ask any question and have it answered online. Yesterday, we talked an awful lot about social media and the age of what I'm calling the age of attention, and the rise of mobile. This definitely changed our world and our relationship with both technology, with each other, with the knowledge that comes from other people's lived experiences. That was not something that we encountered prior to the age of mobile and technology. We also learned how powerful images and can be, and also that the virality of those images is sometimes more powerful than the truth behind them. So skills and technology come with both positives and negatives, and we've navigated through this before. But now we stand on the cusp of a new age, a new transformation, and we don't know what it will be called yet. We don't yet know what it will become in years from now. What is that skill that we need to tackle or to learn or to leverage more? We know that it is a disruption in the way that we live and work and think. But what will it be just 3 years from now? I like this quote, which is, Arthur C. Clarke, that any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. And I don't know about you, but AI has really felt that way to me. It feels like magic. And I'm a computer scientist. I'm trained in how these things are built. So I've built some of them myself. I don't know how it works. And it's what Ethan Mollick was saying is even the most advanced technologists freely admit that they don't actually know what's going on here. But this particular technology is sometimes wrong. And I'm showing one of these 20-sided dice here. And so using AI today is like rolling a 20-sided dice, where every time you roll a 20, it's wrong. But you're not allowed to see the dice. So you don't know when it's wrong. And in fact, it might be wrong more often than that. So does it mean that it's not useful? Does it mean that we can't do good things with it? No, it's just complicated. Um, it's nuanced and it requires real thought and care. Also comes at a time when our society has this uncomfortable relationship with truth, and truth feels that it's getting fuzzier and fuzzier. Andrew and I were just talking this morning about how museums' position as trusted sources is a most valuable thing that we have. So when truth becomes less firm and less clear, what does it mean to be a trusted source anymore? So we'll try to wrap our arms around that. But these are some of the complexities that AI as a technology is changing in our relationship to the knowledge around us. So you may wish or you may not like the idea that AI is here, but it's like a genie out of the bottle. I don't think it's going back in the bottle anytime soon. Just a couple of statistics for you to consider. A recent Gallup poll showed that 99% of Americans, sorry, I'm from un-American, had used AI-enabled products in the past week, though two-thirds of them didn't know they did so. So it's in fact embedded in everything. I saw once an advertisement for an AI-enabled toothbrush. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that does. Um, OpenAI's CBO Sam Altman predicts that in 2025, it will mark the year of the integration of AI agents into the workforce. And so I think we've all had a lot of fear about what that means and what that looks like. Global consulting firm Deloitte forecasts that 1/4 or 1 in 4 of you in the room will initiate agentic AI pilots in 2025, with that adoption doubling to 50% by 2027. So that is a year and a half, 2 years, where half of businesses will be employing agentic AIs in their business. And the Anthropic co-founder Jack Clark predicts the rise of, quote, manager nerds who will oversee fleets of AI agents. Now, I kind of like this because I sort of think of myself as a manager nerd. So I need some company out there. Um, and this is just to say that AI is not going away anytime soon. It's accelerating very fast, for better or for worse. The technology has always been a mirror to the goods and the ills of our societies. So you, as cultural professionals, are better positioned than almost anyone else to wrestle the mean path through those goods and those ills. And one of the things that I think we're going to see in the coming years or months is that as AI technologies mature, the importance of your individual execution will fade, and your ability to orchestrate change around those new abilities is going to become more and more important. Now, I know we had performing arts organizations in the crowd this morning as well, and you, among many, are very familiar with how to orchestrate beautiful works of music. But as you're building your institutions, you are each leaders of teams who you are orchestrating to create experiences, either like Communicating the Arts here this morning or experiences with art for your communities. And I remember this time very vividly, but I suspect that each of you has in your mind, and I want you to think about this, a moment where you shifted from being an individual contributor to a leader. And you maybe even made a choice at that time that you would have to give up directly building things in order to lead a team who builds things. And that mental shift is very specific. And leadership skills are often things that you learn on the job. And I think the cultural sector, by and large, doesn't do a very good job of teaching how to become a leader. But each of you are here because you are a leader in your own right. And the big point that I want to make is that in this transition with AI, considering how they work and what they will become, your leadership is required to navigate this change. You may not like it, you may not want to, but you're not going to have a choice. But the good news is that you already possess the skills necessary to lead AI and your organizations through that change. So let's talk a little bit about what those skills are and how you can leverage them. Uh, I'm going to jump forward a little bit to make the point that these are skills that I want you to think differently about, that you are meeting both human teammates and virtual or AI teammates. You need to have the ability to inspire with a clear vision, the agility to move quickly, and the wisdom to commit slowly when things are volatile and change around you quite a bit. The skill to delegate well with clarity, and the ability to coach and mentor managers. Those are all things that you're familiar with in thinking about your human teams, but did you ever think that your human teams will also lead teams of virtual beings? So not only do you need to be a leader of your teams, but it's on you to teach your staff how to be leaders in and of themselves. So how will we take control of the ability to do much more at that level up? And how will you help your employees gear shift the way that you have? That for me is a mental model shift, or the skill we need to acquire and think differently about AI. Just like we learned to read and we learned to search and we learned the power of images, leadership is now something that's different in engaging fleets of agents to do our work with us, not for us, but with us. So it's also on me to look into the future a little bit and gaze into my crystal ball. But while it's hard to predict what's going to happen in AI, I think I have a couple of ideas that I want you to consider. And so we'll make three, and then we'll wrap up. The first prediction is that infinite memory leads to hyper-personalization. So many of you are using AI chatbots today, and they remember things about you. You can tell it to remember that I'm the chief information officer at the National Gallery of Art, and I love coffee. I have 2 sons. You can have it remember this. We've heard recently that all the AI companies are expanding this to remember everything about every conversation perfectly forever. And so I think that what might happen is that just like users bring their smartphones today, of which they've configured for their own apps and notifications and contact lists, users will be bringing their own hyper-personalized AIs with them to your online website, to your museum, to experiences that you create. When this happens, it will become increasingly difficult to measure content engagement. We've already seen this, right? And many of you are looking at your website traffic and noticing that it's going down. And one of the reasons it's going down is because folks are finding the answers inside of their chatbot before clicking through to your site. So what do you do about this? That hyper-personalization will be really good for user experiences, but bad for your brand and content authority because it's separated from who you are. I think also when we hyper-personalize, like we curate our social media channels, you can end up in a tunnel and an echo chamber. And so I think some of the echo chambers we see in public discourse are likely to continue. So what could you do about it? Consider that exclusive content strategies you might want to create would include reasons to have a user account, that maybe you have a loss leader up front, but the full experience is inside, or those experiences are not based on content that can be harvested by an AI. Consider thinking of ways to create branded snippets of the information that your institution provides, because there are already existing standards for how AI is going to embed and store memories for a long time. They're not here yet, but you could start creating that content now. Think about citation systems that will attribute or link your brand to the authoritative things you have to say. There's a couple of them out there. We're familiar with DOIs and workers and ARCs, but decide on one and just start robustly linking citations. And then begin suggesting how your audiences might broaden the particular answer they come from. So for a long time, we've tried to make the shortest path between a question and the correct answer. As correct becomes less and less clear, think about ways to broaden answers to include adjacencies that your user may not have thought about in the first place. Second prediction, I think that deepfakes will drive the value of the real thing. And I think we're already starting to see it. So what might happen? We've all experienced deep uncanny valley. Perhaps you experienced it just 2 slides ago with that creepy little Rob staring into a crystal ball. It's close. It's good, but it's still creep. And that's going to be really hard to overcome, especially as our audiences become more and more attuned to virtually generated art and images and music and news stories and laws. You can go on and on. So I feel like this is likely to, in fact, promote a backlash. And I feel that even in our younger audiences, we're already starting to see this, where people are seeking real experiences and not virtual ones. And verifiable human-created content will be the gold that you have your hands on. So what can we do? I think this one is easy and requires not a lot of technology or expenses. Highlight the fact that your institution has the real thing. That's unique, and nobody else has it. Nobody else can come to the Rijksmuseum and see the objects that are here. Lean into unplugged experiences. And contrary to yesterday, I don't think our audiences will want the razzle-dazzle. I think they'll want the real things with someone they care about. So we have that, and we have that in spades, and it's different than the way AI is going. You can leverage that. But authenticity, verifiability, and the realness of human created content is going to be in doubt. So consider digitally signing the content that you've created. Is that video interview with an artist real or AI? Initiatives like the Content Authenticity Initiative and C2PA are emerging standards for how you can digitally sign in a cryptographic sense that you created this content and it's real. So I think this is something we can do today that will be resilient over the next 3 to 5 years when these predictions are starting to happen. And the third and last prediction is maybe a little bit optimistic, a little bit naive, but I'm hoping out for this, that AI will help connect the dots for never art audiences. So what's a never art audience? Many of us encounter our neighbors, our family, our friends who say, art, that's not for me. And I think Andrew would probably tell us, but it's somewhere in the 30 to 40% range of population where they may be interested in video games or Netflix shows or sporting events, but art, classical music, not really for me. However, that doesn't mean they're not curious, and they're curious about many things. So what might happen? I think as people get these hyper-personalized AIs, we're already seeing that they have confidence in talking to these AIs about all range of personal issues. In fact, AI therapists are a trend, right? And it's because you know that AI is not going to betray you. It's like telling your deepest secrets to your dog or your cat. So this one can answer you back. So I feel like people are going to get more and more comfortable asking questions when the anonymity of their question is secure inside of their hyper-personal AI. Hopefully, and I think we could do something to encourage this, that will fuel curiosity and questions that may not have been answered before. And as AI take over the digital drudgery of filling out forms and timesheets and invoices and everything else, just like in the Industrial Revolution, we saw a surge in leisure experience, a surge in time spent. And I'm hopeful that that surge exists as well. So I feel that there is an opportunity to connect race car enthusiasts to artists who make art about racing or performance or competition. I think there's room to connect to painters who have taken inspiration from video games and really draw these unexpected points of contact into whatever your organization's content is about. So consider using market research tools that unpack those psychographic segments and help you know what are the adjacent interests to the folks who are already coming or engaging or close by. Then build content that links your non-audience interests directly into what you offer as your primary topic. This enables folks to perhaps wander in from the fringes of their AI curiosity into discovering something they never thought they would like about art. I think those kinds of curiosity experiences are part and parcel of many people's stories, or perhaps many of you in this room. So explore syndication strategies that push those links into AIs, but maintain that authoritative link back to your content. Well, thank you very much for your kind attention this morning. Thank you again for having me here. I hope that I gave you some food for thought, some confidence that your leadership skills are real skills that you worked very hard to learn and very hard to become expert at. And in these coming years, I feel quite certain that those skills will be tested in the ways that AI will begin to impact our organization. So I just want you to think about this. It's one of my favorite Proust quotes, that the real voyage of discovery consists not in seeking new landscapes, but in having new eyes. So thank you very much.